Welcome to our continuing series, Questions and Answers for a World in Crisis. Today, we take up a most important subject, sincerity. The mother. Be sincere, always sincere. More and more sincere. Sincerity demands of each one that he express only the truth of his being. If earnestly you say to the divine, "I want only thee," the divine will arrange the circumstances in such a way that you are compelled to be sincere. Before the eternal consciousness, a drop of sincerity has more value than an ocean of pretension and hypocrisy. An uncompromising sincerity is the surest way to spiritual advancement. Do not pretend, be. Do not promise, act. Do not dream, realize. To be sincere, all the parts of the being must be united in their aspiration for the divine. Not that one part wants and other refuse or revolt. Sincerity is the key to the divine doors. Sincerity is the gate to divinity. Fear not, your sincerity is your safeguard. The only salvation is an absolute sincerity and truthfulness. Sincerity, fidelity are the two guardians of the way. We want to be sincere in spite of all contrary opinions. Sincerity is our safeguard. Develop sincerity, that is, an integral adhesion to the divine's way. Reject the pull of the old human habits. A letter to the mother. Sweet mother, I can tell you this without vanity. I am much better than I was before. But all the same, I am quite far, perhaps very far, from the ideal you have given us. This does not discourage me, for I have full confidence in you. Mother, yes, you must persevere with courage and sincerity. You are sure to succeed one day. 1962. One becomes what one thinks. You should think of the strength, the uprightness, the sincerity you wish to become. The necessity of an absolute sincerity, the certitude of truth's final victory, the possibility of constant progress with the will to achieve. If you are sure you have achieved absolute sincerity, you can be sure that you are immersed in falsehood. As for all psychological problems, here too, sincerity A total and uncompromising sincerity is the true remedy. For the very sincerity of your aspiration will carry you through all limitations and take you to the Supreme, because you bear it within yourself. Question to Mother. What is the fundamental virtue to be cultivated to prepare oneself for the spiritual life? Mother. I have told you many times, but it is an occasion to repeat it. It is sincerity. A sincerity that must become total and absolute, because sincerity alone is your protection for the spiritual part. If you are not sincere, even at the very second step, you are sure to fall and break your nose. There are all kinds of forces and wills and influences and entities that are lying in wait for the least breach in this sincerity. And they immediately rush through this breach and begin to disorganize you. Therefore, before doing anything, beginning anything, trying anything, be sure, first of all, that you are not only as sincere as you can be, but you intend to become still more sincere, for it is your only protection. Sri Aurobindo. If one has a fundamental sincerity, a will to go through in spite of all things, and readiness to be candid, that is the best security in the sadhana. When one enters into the true, yogic consciousness, then you see that everything can be done, even if at present only a slight beginning has been made. But a beginning is enough, since the force, the power are there. It is not really on the capacity of the outer nature that success depends. For the outer nature, all self-exceeding seems impossibly difficult. But on the inner being, and to the inner being, all is possible. One has only to get into contact with the inner being and change the outer view and consciousness from the inner. That is the work of the sadhana, and it is sure to come with sincerity, aspiration, and patience. It goes without saying that the qualities you speak of are helpful in the approach to the spiritual path, while the defects you enumerate are each a serious stumbling block in the way. Sincerity especially is indispensable to the spiritual endeavor, and crookedness a constant obstacle. Sincerity means to lift all the movements of the being to the level of the highest consciousness and realization already attained. Sincerity exacts the unification and harmonization of the whole being in all its parts and movements around the central divine will. It is true that a central sincerity is not enough, except as a beginning and a base. The sincerity must spread, as you describe, through the whole nature. But unless there is a double nature, parentheses, without a central harmonizing consciousness, end parentheses, the basis is usually sufficient for that to happen. Sincerity in the vital is the most difficult to have and the most needful. The one condition of getting rid of things is an absolute central sincerity in all the parts of the being. And that means an absolute insistence on the truth and nothing but the truth. There will then be a readiness for unsparing self-criticism and vigilant openness to the light, an uneasiness when falsehood comes in, which will finally purify the whole being. That is why we insist so much on sincerity in the yoga. And that means to have all the being consciously turn towards the one truth, the divine. But that, for human nature, is one of the most difficult of tasks, much more difficult than a rigid asceticism or a fervent piety. Religion itself does not give this complete, harmonized sincerity. It is only the psychic being and the one-souled spiritual aspiration that can give it.